I'll admit it, I did not like 2018 Spider-Man. Sure, swinging around New York was fun, but the story was mediocre, the combat was Batman Arkham Light, and the dull, forced stealth sections added up to something that, to me, showed the power of Marvel over interesting gameplay. So when Insomniac announced Marvel's Spider-Man 2, I breathed a massive apathetic sigh. It'll be more of the same, another mid-tier AAA game held up by the power of Marvel and one fun traversal mechanic, I said. But now that I've finished its story of friendship, sacrifice, and what it takes to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, maxed out the streamlined combat system, collected every collectible, and even enjoyed playing as MJ, I reckon I might have been wrong on this one. Spider-Man 2 picks up after the events of the 2018 installment, with the two Spider-Men teaming up to defend New York against threats both great and small. A lot has been made of the ability to play as both Peter Parker and Miles Morales, but this is Peter Parker's story through and through. After years of treatment in Europe for the same disease that killed his mother, Peter's best mate Harry Osborn has reappeared better than ever thanks to a miracle cure. Except it's less Europe and more a tank in a secret Oscorp lab, and that miracle cure? It's the alien symbiote, a black sentient goo found in a crashed meteor by his father, Norman Osborn. Unluckily for the reunited Nerd Kings of Queens, Kraven the Hunter has decided to stage his final hunt in New York, kidnapping recently captured supervillains like Scorpion, Vulture, and Sandman in hopes they can best him in combat. And meanwhile, Miles Morales is busy juggling college applications, friends, and the complicated feelings of revenge against his father's killer Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, also on Kraven's list of worthy adversaries. Now, that is a lot of story to keep track of, but Insomniac's decision to focus the main beats entirely on Peter makes all these threads easy to digest. There are some absolutely incredible story moments that had me genuinely shocked. When the alien symbiote bonds with Peter is a standout, and there's real character development that you don't usually see in modern action games. But I just wish more time was spent with Miles. As much as I enjoyed the familiar complications of Peter and Mary Jane's relationship or the impact of listening to that little voice of doubt we all deal with, it's in Miles' moments with Mr. Negative or hanging out with his friends that Spider-Man 2 is at its best. It's Miles' optimism and attachment to his neighborhood that makes his character so effective. Peter's neighborhood has become New York, but Miles' story focuses on local businesses in Harlem, his fellow students at Brooklyn Visions Academy, and helping his uncle the Prowler clean up some old hideouts now that he's gone straight. You see him grow into the responsibility of being Spider-Man, making decisions anchored on the simple fact that Miles knows where he's from. Street artist Hayley Cooper features heavily in Miles' story, and it's great to see a deaf person represented so well in video games. I highly recommend seeking out all the side quests, as there's one that uses vibration and sound design to put you into the world of a character more effectively than I've seen in other games. Spider-Man 2 is a sequel in the modern cinematic universe sense, and with it come all the benefits of not having to rehash characters and relationships. Insomniac drops players into a story and a world that they're familiar with, using that freedom to tell an extremely personal story, with monsters and superpowers, and a completely updated, visually beautiful New York. Gone are the browns and greys of 2018 Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 is vivid, colourful, and varied. The extended map now includes Coney Island, Brooklyn, and even Peter Parker's home in Queens. There was a moment where I was swinging around at night as police car lights bounced off the brownstone buildings that absolutely floored me. I played through entirely in fidelity mode, and it's the way to do it. Not only does it look better with higher resolution, but there's the maximum pedestrian and traffic density that make the whole city an absolute feast to swing through. With a bigger map also comes a new way of getting around, the wingsuit. Yanked from the comics, Peter and Miles can now deploy a webbed glider at any moment, giving a new way to build momentum and explore at a frighteningly quick pace. The wingsuit is so good. As if swinging wasn't already so satisfying, being able to build up a ton of speed swinging down a street of skyscrapers to then launch into a glide that carries you high above the city is never not fun. Swinging has been updated too, feeling much faster than Spider-Man 2018, which is crazy! Fast travel makes a return, but even better are wind tunnels that let you quickly zip over rivers or down certain streets at maximum pace. These are similar to the grind rails in Insomniac's Ratchet & Clank. You'll be semi-locked into the wind tunnel as you fly through it, gliding high into the air as you come shooting out at your destination. They're only in certain places on the map too, so you'll still need to practice your flying skills to explore the entire city. There are so many set-piece blockbuster moments that it's hard to talk about one. A fight with Sandman has you flying all over New York in the middle of a dust storm. Another has you sneaking through a dark, almost Resident Evil tunnel as Mary Jane as she follows a symbiote corrupted Peter. And for anyone dreading the return of slow plotting MJ stealth sections, great news. There's only a couple, and she's way more capable this time around. MJ can now use a taser to take out enemies, and being spotted doesn't instantly fail the level. There's also a few other playable characters that I don't want to spoil because they are super fun. Action that happens as part of gameplay is cinematic and fast, with a real weight to it. But unfortunately, anytime control is taken away, cutscenes feel basic, with just locked-off shot reverses of people talking. There are moments where the emotional weight of a scene calls for this, but when you've just finished punching the heck out of a bunch of hunters as the camera floats around, zooming in and slowing down to accentuate the action, it's really jarring to then cut to a mid-shot of a very clearly motion-captured real-time punch. Combat in Spider-Man 2 has been streamlined, with unlocking suits no longer tied to unlocking abilities or bonuses. Abilities and gadgets are unlocked via a shared resource of tech parts and hero tokens, collected by completing missions and finding collectibles around the map. It's a great improvement, with costumes now purely for aesthetics. Each Spider-Man has new skills that are unlocked as the story progresses, and each has their own skill tree to upgrade. There's also a shared skill tree for stuff like swinging, throws, and webbing. I made it through the entire story without ever upgrading any of the unique skill trees, instead pouring all of my XP into the shared skills. It's hard to know when to upgrade Miles over Peter, as I was never sure if I'd be playing as one or the other from mission to mission. Punching baddies is almost exactly like it was in Spider-Man 2018, but now each hero can parry attacks or use their unique powers. It's the same basic punch 4 times, maybe kick them into the air and dodge some incoming gunfire though. As the story progresses, enemies with shields, attacks you can parry but can't dodge, and others that need to be weakened with certain attacks are introduced, which does keep it interesting and varied through the 50 or so hours it took me to reach 100%. Stealth has been rethought and improved considerably. There's an unlockable webline shooter that lets you create a tightrope from any point to another, allowing you to get the drop more easily on groups of enemies. I was never a fan of the tight, confined spaces of the previous game, and thankfully stealth arenas in Spider-Man 2 are open, with lots of verticality to hide or make your escape. Some of my favourite side missions revolved around unlocking hunter bases by completing smaller blinds, camouflaged mini-bases on rooftops. Another standout was the Mysterio side missions, a series of malfunctioning VR experiences spread throughout the city. These combat trials really tested my skills in cracked, gravity-defying arenas. And these aren't just side missions for the sake of side missions. Each one has a self-contained story to tell and some great Easter eggs for hardcore fans. Collecting all the Spider-Bots, Spider-Man 2's version of backpacks, has an extremely cool ending that you absolutely should prioritize over anything else. Spider-Man 2 is amazing, spectacular, sensational. It builds on the story and gameplay of 2018 Spider-Man to deliver a true blockbuster experience. From swinging through Times Square to riding a bike through Queens, there's not a moment I didn't absolutely love what I was playing. To paraphrase the editor of the Daily Bugle, get me more games of Spider-Man. Play.